Hello and welcome to the Boise State Esports Arena, where it's a great day because it's a day where we get to watch the League of Legends team. On the desk, my name is Zach Munson, and it's a little lonely up here, at least in person, because we actually have an expert tuning in online, Cubby. Great League of Legends caster, and this is going to be a good game because we're going up against Washington State, which is currently 10-0 in the Mountain West Conference. Boise State sitting at 4-5, so never really know what's going to happen. Cubby, what do you think is going to happen in this one? What do you make of this?
It might be a tough one for Boise, but I'm excited to join you on the day, Zach. Of course, that arena, I was lucky enough to do a CLOL Finals there. Doc Haskell's always been really good to so many people across the space. Really fun to be invited in, which I will say this did start from the league team creating an unofficial Boise account. They were looking for followers, and Kelsey's like, hey, can you please interact with them? They're like trying to work hard to do something. They're like, you want to join for a day? I was like, sure. I figured it was good for me. It encouraged me to talk to my own alma mater in Miami University of Ohio. So I was with their students earlier in the week. I get to hop in and do this with you, Zach. It's been fun to meet you and visit with you so far early on, and honestly catch up about both these teams because I'm a little bit of a spectator coming into the Mountain West. Been busy watching League of Legends, a little bit more Tier 1 involved across the world, but excited to tune into this collegiate bout. I know it's been a lot better year for Boise as a roster and a league program, but of course, Washington State, undefeated, top of the conference, always going to be a tough match when you go up against that team.
Well, Boise State is a storied past with League of Legends, a very, very successful team once upon a time. Of course, my generation, when I got here, there was no league team. It had kind of gone by the wayside, so I joined up last semester. We didn't have the greatest season. We went defeated, is what I say with my friends. We did not win a single game, but now this new roster it's doing some damage, but they're up against a crazy tough opponent right now. And yeah, I mean, we were talking to Coach K a little bit about just what they're thinking about going into this match, and you were mentioning taking space, and that's something that's a really unique term in League compared to most other games. Like, can you break that down a little?
It is. We're going to have to start. Boise has worked on this behind the scenes, but a lot of it in the game, you have to find objectives. A lot of the times, just being around those objectives and positioned properly is big. So that's what we mean in terms of taking space. That, and also your tankier characters getting up in there, making sure that they are creating space for your carries to operate as well, so the squishy members can go do some damage and get the right targets. So curious to see if Boise is able to start and adapt to that. I know that a big push for them this year, you were saying, Zach, of course, the league program was sunsetted. It came back this year. Some motivated students on campus, and a part of the different look and the better look for the team this year has been some of those members stepping up, whether it's new members joining the team or also some members role swapping just to be a part of the team, playing what's different, what they're used to in solo queue, changing them up to be a part of the 5-stack.
Yeah, well, something that's interesting, that's funny about that is, well, yeah, I was there at the tryouts. There were a lot more people because in the tryouts that I attended, there were like 6, and this year was like about 20 players showed up, and out of that, probably half of them were ADCs. So like lots of crazy mechanically talented ADC players, but of course, some people are going to have to hit role swaps. But I think in League, it can be interesting. I think a lot of players, like, they're just so smart that it works. Like, they can play multiple lanes, but with the champions, it can be kind of interesting sometimes. And that was another thing I wanted to touch on, was the idea of just good drafts, because of course that kind of depends almost every week, whatever the meta is, what a good draft is. But a lot of the time, you can almost win or lose a game just based on what you decide to pick, and sometimes it can be kind of difficult to even get started if you draft a lane with no prio.
100%. And it's not Coach K, but to have Coach Kelsey behind the scenes, of course, as someone that I covered teams of hers that which I enjoy coming back to this in a program where my old boss was a part of. I feel like that's always a good sign for the boss, being a good boss. But you kind of highlighted it. League's a game that changes every 2 weeks, and it's nice. Sometimes one of the difficulties of collegiate can be that patch you're playing live. So when I was on the Miami broadcast on Wednesday, they were playing 16.5 the day it came out. And sometimes if it's a big patch especially, a lot of changes can make it so that your reads on certain picks, like is it good, is it bad, do we have the personnel who can play it on the day, that can be a big difference maker. Now, we're a few days into this match. It is a smaller one, but when you're going up against a team like Washington State, who they're number one in the conference, not just because of how well they're playing as a team, but also really strong individuals. Looking at the OP.GGs, a lot of master tier players on this squad. So sometimes that makes it harder going into a big series like this, because a lot of those players, there are picks that you look at in the OP.GGs that you probably just want to snipe off the board.
Well, yeah, I really like that point that you said, because it's almost kind of two different things, what the players you're playing against are really good at and what is just a good ban. Like, we just want to ban, like, Malphite. Malphite's just strong. We want to ban him versus, oh, man, but they're really good at Kiana. Like, this guy just only plays Kiana in ranked, and that can kind of be an interesting little mental battle of what you decide to pick as we get into draft here. And, well, that's going to be figured out very, very soon.
Well, no Riven. I assume that Boise is going to be on the blue side for this one. As looking at the OP.GGs for Washington State, they've got a good Riven player up there in the top lane in Fine. So, confirmed Boise is on the blue side. And Zach, excited to dive into this one as we keep on rolling. Yeah. Are there any picks that you've been looking out for, watching the league team, or maybe what they've been talking about behind the scenes that I should be aware of? Any signature picks that are being taken away? I mean, a brand ban already is a little bit awkward.
Yeah, well, the brand jungle has been utilized in quite a few games. That's something that they tend to go for a lot, and it's a lot of just kind of engaged junglers. Obviously, those are just strong right now, whether it's the Jarvan or the Xin Zhao, but I think those are kind of the signature picks. I also think at this point in the season, I think they're kind of not moving away from signature picks necessarily, but I think they're trying to work with team compositions as a whole instead of, like, we get this guy on his pick and it works, because I think a lot of that time that can be kind of difficult almost.
I see Nefiri Jungle also being a big pick for Washington State in the OP.GGs. So taking that one away from Tagged to 400 LP Master Tier. That's going to be the highest ranked player coming into the day for Washington State, and that is pretty impressive, being that far up.
Well,
I know,
to be fair,
GM is about...
I actually...
Yeah?
I didn't remember it when you said it because you put me on the spot, but the Rakan is a very signature pick for the support of Boise State. And, like, I think he's almost maybe GM on the Rakan, so that ban is definitely specifically for him. Nico as well, I think, for the support role, so they're really target banning out a lot of these supports.
Yeah, some of the point and clicks. I mean, that Nico Pop Blossom is always can really warp a fight from the support role, so that being taken away. Looks like Jinx is going to be first picked. A lot of good pairings with Jinx and the ability to reset now. Likely to be the goal for Boise, so we'll see if they can take, now the lights go off in terms of Thresh, Brahma, that support role, especially with a couple of the bans that we already see. But curious if the response here for Washington State is going to be to take a bot lane or to pick elsewhere.
It looks like we have our answer. It's the Twitch to match it. Volatility looks to be the name of the game here. Jinx versus Twitch. I feel like you might see somebody 5-0, somebody 0-5. That could be potentially on the table when you have a matchup like this. Both of them wanting to scale up and hyper carry the team.
Yeah, of course, with Twitch, too, you have the option to have AP Twitch, which... Yeah, that is something that you don't like to see in solo queue, as it's a little bit of a cheesy pick. It's a lot of base damage and magic damage on the passive and the E if you end up going for the AP route. We'll see what the option is, though, for Washington State, as if that ends up being AD Twitch in the bot lane, when you do pop the R, it is a way to outrange Jinx. And that Crescent Guard, Xin Zhao's ultimate, that circle, making sure you're immune to damage for characters outside of it, also good defense against Jinx as you want to survive and not give away the resets too easily. But Malphite, that's a pick that can help those resets come in as a point-and-click, hard engage taken by Boise State with that Malphite.
Malphite, that ultimate just has to be one of the greatest in the game. Pretty much every circumstance, it makes it so much harder to play the game as the Twitch. When you're trying to play late, use the invis and hyper carry. All it takes is just a point-and-click R to make things so difficult. Talia locked in as well, so lots of just kind of burst damage so far from the Broncos.
Yeah, do like the Unstoppable Force into the Talia flick. You can set that up. We will see if Malphite is top or jungle. I think he has options to be played in both. I expect it to be jungle right now, but Sylas is always the pick that whenever you see Malphite on the other team, blinking red lights for Sylas, because stealing away that Unstoppable Force is, you called out, Zach, that's a very powerful ultimate, and Sylas gets even more out of it with bigger AP ratios. So that's going to be a little bit scary for Boise to deal with. Expect them to take some peel, a little bit more frontline now to try and get the two melee characters of Xin and Sylas out and away from the Jinx. Whereas I think both teams here, pretty high likelihood they're showing 80 jungle and mid, so all matched roles. So expect a lot of bans to be thrown at top or support.
I'm not sure exactly who within Riot said it. It might have been August who said that, like, the Sylas versus Malphite matchup is, it doesn't matter what lane it is. If you pick Sylas into the Malphite, your chance of winning the game goes up quite a lot. But people on the team have actually told me they think it might be a little bit like mind control. You know, you see the Malphite, you have to lock the Sylas, but Sylas, without the ult, I've heard it, or they explained it to me, like, Malphite can just use his ult on cooldown, but Sylas just basically is just a worse Malphite, because if you're picking him for that ult, you know, but even able to pick up the Talia ult, that's going to be a great one as well. Jinx ult, but now with it on the board, you kind of have to be aware of what you're picking now, because you don't want to give him even better ones in the future with these last two picks.
That's a good shout. I think a champion like Braum goes up a lot in value here. Braum Jinx, rather good pairing. It doesn't give you the Lantern that something like Thresh does, but again, Xin and Sylas really, like, they have to go in. They're melee characters that have to go in. Braum can really help deal with that. Sets up easily for chain CC with the Jinx, because if you proc the passive of Braum, the choppers, Jinx E follows up. You can chain the CC and really help knock down a target and try and get Jinx those big resets. But as we roll throughout the draft, we do see those two top laners taken away. So they think it's going to be a jungle Malphite. Enchantresses taken away from the Twitch. Karma is still up. I think Lulu and Milio are stronger pairings with Twitch, but still the idea of the Enchantress coming in for Washington State would be a lot of power, not just for the Twitch, but also the Xin Zhao, someone that really benefits off of having an Enchantress on that team.
The only thing still for Washington State is their team is pretty squishy across the board. Of course, top most likely being the last thing to be locked in could change that for certain, as these two picks are kind of strange. Almost don't even know what to look for. Ornn, very interesting, but that's a lot of beef on the team now between the Malphite and the Ornn. It's going to be difficult to even do enough damage to take them down, with really only Twitch being the big damage dealer for the side of the Cougars.
Yeah, still a lot of setup and a lot of lockdown. It does give away another big ult for Sylas to take as well, as you were kind of highlighting that. See how they round things out. Leona, that's a lot more hard engage, and I do like Leona in this game. It gives you the ability to really put pressure on Twitch. He's got to take Cleanse most likely now in a flash, and whenever he hops out of Invis, you can try and pressure the Twitch with another tool. I think that's the idea for Boise this game, between the Call of the Forge God, the Unstoppable Force, and Leona's ult. Long range, a lot of ways to try and pressure Twitch. Also, that 5-second stun to the front line to help fight the Xin and the Sylas can be quite valuable.
I feel like they're able to play both kind of proactive and reactive depending on the situation, whether they're waiting for the Sylas, I mean the Olaf now, if that gets locked in, and the Xin to make the, it's a Zoe last second. Is it? Whoa.
I don't know if they meant to do that one. I feel like that was an Olaf coming in.
Like, interesting.
We'll see. It would put Sylas top.
That makes things crazy.
Zoe and the Talia. Yeah, I mean, if it is Zoe mid, Zoe and the Talia is a good matchup for Zoe, and Sylas top, you can play it into the Ornn. So, curious if that ends up being the call for Washington State, but would be quite the pivot based on what we were expecting throughout this draft, Zach.
Yeah, and going back a little bit to, we were talking, of course, about the records of these teams. I don't want to sound like I'm hedging anything, like right now, like trying to backtrack, but a lot of the times in these games where on paper you might be a little bit outmatched, there's a lot more things that you can take from a game than just a win or a loss. Like going into it, looking at each fight, how you're taking the fight, how you're playing your lane, all those things matter and are important. And even if at the end you lose the individual game, you can still feel pretty good about that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, just like anything else, it's a process, right? Wins and losses are the result, but you're going through the process of getting better as a team. And that's one that, from the sound of things behind the scenes, like, this Boise program has really had to kind of grow back up, come back into its own. The fact that they're finding wins this year is a big highlight. But, of course, going into Washington State, I mean, this is a big match. Taking down the top team of the conference, it's a tough task, but it would be a huge reward if you are able to pull it off. And, of course, it's a series, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking to learn throughout the series, like what's good, what's bad, where can we have edge, whether that's, are we playing well or are they playing really well with something? Maybe we might want to deny that going into the next game. So definitely going to have to see what happens there. I know, again, from talking with Coach Kelsey, kind of focused on taking space in fights, also closing out games, something that she's trying to work with this team on to be better about when they do get those leads, trying to make sure that that lead gets closed. And a lot of it, I mean, you were talking about how so many 80 carry players were showing up at the tryouts. You got the jinx at 80 here for Boise. Jinx resets can always be a winning formula, no matter what point of the game you're in for the Broncos here.
I mean, just looking at the comp, though, they're completely playing around that specifically and the Talia because, I mean, no one else even really has the opportunity to kind of take over a game on the Broncos squad other than those two because, I mean, if Orn gets super fed, it's like, okay, like it's not like he's not going to be the one really taking all the picks, all the kills, leading the team to victory. So I think that's kind of why they locked in so much peel, so much engage, is to just make the game as easy as possible for those 80 carries and just try and get the damage rolling. And I mean, it's pretty good paint liquor in the bot lane. The one on the ADCs, he can do it. He had a game I think that we watched last time with he was like 10-0 on Aphelios, so it's definitely possible, and I think they're really playing around that. That's definitely the game plan.
Looks to be the case. I mean, a lot of supportive tools taken to make sure the Jinx is a happy game. Also, I really like taking a lot of crowd control in games with Talia. Because a lot of the power of Talia, of course, she can push, she can move, but it's the combos in the fight, right? So if you have the lockdown where you're not guessing where people are going with the flick, with her W, the seismic shard, and you can connect it, because that's where playing off a solar unstoppable force or Call the Forge God can be really big. Because that sets up for not just the Jinx, but also the flicks to come in as well. And if those Talia flicks are connecting, it's a lot of damage and a challenge that Silas Sin have to play through those rocks that can be difficult. So I think for Boise, not just fighting around those big cooldowns, but also the rocks in the Talia, as we do get confirmation heading in here, Zach, that last-second swap to Zoe was what Washington State wanted. Going to be pivoting and giving that very good matchup over to the Zoe end of the Talia, where that does make the lane phase very difficult for Talia.
Yeah, I could only imagine. I mean, it's going to be pretty difficult to hit a lot of stuff. Zoe just simply outrange you for the most part, but I do really like just the whole composition in general. When you're talking about taking space, it seems so much easier for them because the other team, they really can't face check anything. It would just be dangerous as we look to load on in here soon.
I think that's a good shout. Like in the moments of the game where we're going to have to group, Zin might be walking into some hairy situations. I think what Washington State is banking on, they had more counter picks being on the red side. They've opted into lanes that they feel like they can win, whether it's the Silas into the Ornn and the Zoe into the Talia, especially that Zoe, because what I was just talking about with Talia flicks, Zoe with her ult, the portal, it gets around that, right? It's really tough for Talia to connect that because you kind of flash back to where your R started before you can get a flick off, and going through those rocks, it's a jump, so you don't get stunned up, you don't take that damage. So gonna definitely be a lot of pressure on the mid lane for the Broncos in the cake to try and pilot that Talia matchup and get through it.
I think the key to this one, though, has to be just make sure you, under any circumstance, you do not get behind early, because that can just make things just get completely out of control, because Twitch is going to start being able to get those picks off on everybody, and it's going to be hard to get back into it with only a few real damage dealers on the team.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Definitely puts a lot more focus on if that Talia gets shut down. This is a two-threat comp that Boise's running, so a little bit more importance on making sure that both mid and bot able to acquire some resources to make sure that they're doing the damage. But I think also going into Washington State, you got to be careful as Boise. You're definitely going to want to take points in the game where you're dropping waves and trying to find fights. And when you have tools like Call the Forge God, Unstoppable Force, and Weaver's Wall, like Talia trying to reach, you're going to have to make sure you are getting something out of those plays and those timers, because if the solo lanes get big on the side of Washington State, that's what makes it harder to find those Jinx resets later on.
For sure. Lane's going to be difficult, though, because you want to get to that stage where you're able to set up the vision first on the objectives, make them walk into Call of the Forge God, make them walk into Weaver's Wall even, can cut off crazy angles, but it might not even get that far if you're not able to get the priority now. So things potentially to worry about, but we'd like to give a quick thank you to ICCU for their continued support of Boise State Esports. Thank you to ICCU. Boise State Esports has won multiple national championships and piled up more than 1,600 wins. ICCU, looking after your daily balance. Visit iccu.com. And we've pretty much talked about everything that there is to talk about without just seeing the game, but once again, this would be a really important game to win, just even for the mental aspect for, both teams. For the Broncos, taking down the top team in the conference, that kind of makes everybody feel beatable, at least to a certain extent, while likewise for the Cougars, if you're top and you lose the first game, it can kind of feel very unfortunate, especially if it's not to like the number 2 seed. It can kind of make things feel a little weird going forward.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. What a confidence builder it would be for the Broncos to find some wins here. Obviously, we don't want to hedge bets. We want to win the series, but even pressuring Washington State, taking games off, this is a program where you're rebuilding as the Broncos. And to go from a defeated year to challenging the team that is number 1 of the conference, that would be a good barometer for how well the rebuild's going with this crew. So excited to dive in the games, get some collegiate League of Legends. I've been lucky. The games aren't the highest level to pro play, but you do see a lot of individual skill expression at this level because you get players sometimes that are ranked higher than others. You get pocket picks. As you know, it can be quite fun.
Mm-hmm. It can be really fun, and collegiate is not to be messed around with. There are some serious teams on here in pretty much every game. I feel like 5 or 6 years ago when people would talk about it, it was almost like, oh, collegiate. But now, you've got great players like Ego, you've got the Cake, you've got Paint Liquor all ready to rumble as they walk out. It's set up in the lanes here. Interesting kind of look towards top side. Malphite starting on the blue, looking to play for bot, which is not surprising. And that Paint Liquor is going to have to be the one to take things home. A little bit of an early kind of skirmish. Vision exchanged. It looks like Washington State have taken control of that middle brush.
That's the Karma level 1. You start with the ultimate, and those mantra Qs can hit quite a bit, so that's going to help Twitch early on. Quick note, Zoe picked up the Ignite for lane, so a little bit more power for Crash Bandicoot on the Zoe, looking for the kills in that mid lane, as both of our junglers started the game. Looks like they're going to work their way from top to bot, so that focus on the bot lane, especially with the Leona, hopefully providing some gank assist for Malphite when he's able to get in here. Could be something to look out for.
Seems like only a matter of time before things explode in the bot lane, is already taking control of this one a little bit are the Cougars. Decent damage. Like you said, that Karma so powerful level 1. And a Q start on the Twitch, it makes it hard to fight because if you go, increased attack speed is going to be difficult to trade back into, as all lanes a little bit difficult to play for here. Rat in the top lane on the Ornn, actually the one against the Silas. Still not as great of a matchup as it lands. Good stun comes through. Paint Liquor trades a good amount of damage onto the Karma.
Really nice.
Now only about a little bit less than half HP. That makes things more difficult because they're going to want to try still for this bot lane fight when the junglers get here, and you're going to want all the health you can get if possible.
Yeah, it was a really well-timed step back by Paint Liquor to dodge out on the Launcher Q. And if those Launcher Qs don't connect, then you lose a lot of the power of the Karma in the lane. So good trade there for Boise in the bot lane as Tagged getting back out onto the map. Very interesting start for Tagged as we have another trade. He ended up going for the Null Magic Mantle start on the Xin Zhao. That is
interesting.
Probably
really
topside focus. Yeah, but that's not what we're used to seeing from the Xin. Usually you sprint towards that Sundered Sky and only buy components for that to get there as soon as possible, given the spike that item is when you complete it.
On Bruiser jungles, you kind of want that early damage too to make those early fights all the better, but now things have evened out a bit. Of the regen has kicked in. Yomahime now pretty much back up to full mana as the base comes through from Ego. The bot lane fight not to be for the moment. A big wave stacking up now for Rat. Maybe a base timer potentially on the board, as so far nothing has really gone too far out of what you would want for the Broncos,
Yeah.
just looking to scale and get money into the late game. Yeah, I mean, no solos so far is always a good sign.
Yeah, I think overall, we'll see if anything comes down bot. I'm pretty sure that Boise expected Zin to take that bot crab as Malphite based, working towards the top crab. Curious if Ego maybe makes his way to see if Zin is on his Raptors at all, as I believe Zoe has push in mid. Zin was spotted on the cross, so will be some information for the Broncos, and knowing where the Zin is, Ego's going to make his way into the top lane, get a little bit of damage down onto the Silas, and help this wave get in.
Hank comes through as now a little bit of a fight again. Rinkadon maybe caught out a little bit too far root. Oh, but the heal saves his life, potentially level up as well. Will grant a bit more HP in these fights. So dangerous in the bot lane, trying to just get some sort of tempo. The back maybe, but it's hard to push out the wave into Karma Twitch. Mid lane equal as well. Crash Bandicoot got the privilege of the counter matchup with the last pick, and with that landing, Cake is going to tuck into the wave and dodge out on the big damage, but still, these remain equal as bot lane. The wave is starting to stack, and this is not where you want to be because they could potentially freeze this.
Yeah, honestly, I do think the Cake deserves a little bit of credit. Down a little bit in CS, but has done a really nice job of keeping the health bar in the mid lane and making sure that Zoe hasn't gotten too much yet. Even them being down a little bit of CS as Zoe. Or as Talia into Zoe, as that is a hard matchup. But like call you made on the bot lane, Zach, that's good recognition there. I know that you said that you're covering a little bit more Valorant and Overwatch, but that freeze, that's going to hurt the Broncos a little bit, as well managed by Bitna and Karma.
I used to play top,
sure
so I know how scary a freeze can be. And it seems like just overall the principle... The principle has been for the Broncos, like, just make sure not to give up any kills. It seems like every lane so far, I mean, except for jungle, I guess, has been falling a bit behind in the CS. But overall, I think they're going to be okay with that. But the gank comes through, and they've caught him at a very unfortunate time. Rinkadon has to use the flash. Paintlicker might be caught. First blood goes down. Flash again from Bitna to secure the double kill. And oh no, the wave is still stuck. So it doesn't even get to crash. The freeze just adds insult to injury as the first double kill comes down onto the Twitch.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, as Twitch getting all the gold is exactly what Washington State wants in that scenario. As it really means now that, I mean, if Twitch gets to those item breakpoints early, Twitch's ability to snowball the game, this champion puts down so much damage. This could be a big chunk.
Oh, wow, that might be a kill. Oh,
yeah.
Just from the sleep landing, Crash Bandicoot. It's a crazy combo, and already the Cake taken down as well. They maintained for about 6 minutes but now the kills starting to come through a little bit for the Cougars, and they're going to get a free setup onto pretty much whatever objective they choose here.
Yeah, Zin's going to keep on rolling through the camps. Curious if this can be recognized at all by Ego, as he does have level 6 now, so gotta believe that Malphite's gonna start looking for some plays here, see if he can get involved on the map.
Who else's level 6 is also fined. In fact, level 7 off that minion, so if he sees Ego, he's gonna grab that ult and become a much more dangerous champion. Brad doing very well in this lane so far. Kind of an equal matchup. Be surprised if anyone was really getting any solos there, but bot lane trying to get back a little bit now.
We've got to talk about this Xin Zhao build, because you know when we said we were curious about the Null Magic Mantle coming in, it looks like it's going to be a Wit's End rush, and there is some value for the Wit's End this game. It gives you MR, attack speed, and tenacity. That's going to feel really good into the top side of Boise State, as all 3 of those members are going to do magic damage. As we got to pause mid because the Cake, good sidestep.
Dodging that is very important. If that lands, he's most likely dead, but a fight bot, they're down a level, don't quite have 6 yet. Ego is here trying to help out. The Cake will end up living, but Crash Bandicoot doesn't even really get punished too much for that. Now, back again from the Cake tempo. Very good for the mid laner of Washington State. Bot lane once again kind of stuck under their turret as Xin Zhao there. This could be dangerous, could potentially be a dive with this item and level advantage. They've got to be aware of the Malphite, though. That would be...
Yeah. the level 6 diff so far in the bot lane, that's kind of the lead in the Frozen Wave, is compounding into ults available for Washington State. Not
Eagles
quite
arrived,
yet
and there it
available for
goes.
Boise,
What
but
a
here we go.
catch! Perfect. Catches out Yomahime, and now they wanted to go Dragon, but they're not going to be able to down a support. A great adjustment. Ego drops the Krugs in a fight as well, going top lane. Find can't play too much. They think about going for the Dragon in a minute, but with Yomahime already respawning, 8 minutes, death timer's not super crazy. They're just going to take that gold and be happy with it. Paint Liquor now a little bit less behind. Ooh, the flip comes through. Crash Bandicoot so low. But the cooldown's really just not there, especially seeing tagged in the lower brush. Just not going to take the fight all the way, but Broncos a little bit back into this one now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good look bot to get that kill. I like how Boise didn't commit to that Dragon. Obviously, Dragon is a big prize, and it is going to be picked up by the looks of things by Washington State. I say that, but good base coming in from tag now.
Crash Bandicoot does not go for it. Probably wise, as Rinkadon was waiting right there, and he might catch this back. Oh, doesn't quite know about it. Instead, gets the ward as Ego starts onto these grubs, and the fact that Dragon hasn't been taken yet, in my opinion, is a little bit of a win for the Broncos, as Cougars aren't going to get to stack those up quite yet, even though they had that early advantage. They haven't been able to get a fight that they would have liked quite yet, but Twitch has a lot of money, so they might be going for something soon. Support goes in, tagged, isn't able to get the steel blast cones over, and he only sees the after image of the grubs in the pit. He now tries to find something else, kind of has to settle for the control ward. So once again, bot lane is kind of the object of affection for both of these teams, as a CS lead really starting to grow for Bitna.
I like some of the choices we saw from Boise, though, because, again, I think that if you try to fight that Dragon, you're missing Malphite ult, you're missing Leona ult, and yes, Karma was removed, but that's only the support. And Twitch was still pretty big at this point of the game, right? As that first item has now come in for the Twitch. Yeah, level lead's gone, but still, I think if they go for that Dragon, it opens up a good fight for Washington State to try and take a winning scenario, even being down a Karma, because at this point, death timers are short. Karma might have been able to be involved in the back half of the fight. So dropping that potential Dragon fight, taking the grubs instead, I think a good call is you're pointing out a lot of trading in the bot lane, Zach, and Silas, as long as you can cycle out those Kingslayers and so we get that health back, I feel pretty good.
It's just difficult to trade into a Silas, especially as a tank, because the tanks don't really have enough damage to kill him outright, and he'll sustain through with that W. Just so much healing. Ooh, the fight coming through, though, another ult, but it's dodged. Amazing flash from Bitna saves his life for sure, as now they're going to push out this wave and maybe try and look on Dragon, but tagged is already here, and if they walk into this, it could be more dangerous than they might expect. Ego showing it, and Tag now takes his chance. Rinkadon might be a little bit too far forward. Knockup can't land. Root doesn't land either, though. Ego, the one to try and take all of the aggression, and it might actually work out. Both teams, a couple players gotten low, but a bit of a miracle that the Broncos were able to get out there. Flashes from both teams, perfect.
Yeah, it sounds a little funky, but I think that's one where Ego might have wanted to preemptively flash, as Bitna had both sums up, and it was a really nice solar flare to get the cleanse out, but a better response from Bitna, because the flash to get out of the unstoppable force, that takes away the play, but also takes away a lot of the power for Boise. They can't fight this Dragon with those ultimates missing, so that's one where if you're able to maybe flash Q the Twitch, get the move speed steal, you could have followed up with the unstoppable force, just Bitna quick enough on the trigger to make sure the cleanse and the flash get out of that combo. That takes away the play from Boise and does give the first Dragon over to Washington State.
They wanted to try and trade it back a little bit mid as Ego walked up looking for a gank maybe onto Crash Bandicoot, but Zoe always elusive in the mid lane, and this is still dangerous. You don't really want to be taking any fights yet. The Drowsy, oh no, this is perfect. The cake might just be caught out here as tagged is there just in time, and that was a nuclear strike onto him after the sleep, and that was just what I was about to say is you don't want to take fights right now. Zoe is so strong and can one-shot pretty much all the big damage dealers on the team, so it's just really, really strange. She has a lot of CS, almost 150 at 13 minutes. Very, very perfect game from Crash Bandicoot so far.
Yeah, I saw the look from the Cake and the Broncos there because the Malphite and the Ornn were rotating down. So they just weren't quite there yet. So maybe playing that one a little bit slower. It was a good catch out by Crash Bandicoot and tagged. Well played by the Cougars. As Boise State not able to save their mid laner that time around. It's a 3.5K gold deficit for the Broncos as the Cougars got a nice start. You highlighted Zoe farming really well so far in this game. But all three lanes winning at the moment for Washington State. Boise State, they have the ability to break this with the ultimates. So
yeah,
they just got both summoner spells off of Twitch. I think a rinse and repeat bot definitely in the cards for the Broncos, as you got to attack the rat while those summoner spells are down.
Ooh. Full tempo advantage. Base canceled. Rincadon has to stay around a little bit longer. Paint Liquor able to get his back off. And I like what you said about the ults, because I still think the Broncos, at least on paper, should have an easier time in these team fights, but going to be difficult to get there and set up into a team as smart as the Cougars, but the ult comes through. Ego lands it, and what a perfect missile as well from the Jinx. Yomehime still alive somehow, and the flash comes through. Just not enough damage, and the pivots arrive now. Bitna, instead the one to trade it. It all looked like the Broncos made the play, but instead they just didn't have the damage, and this might be a kill. The flash, the ignite, and the Cake is taken down. Tagged, now looking to extend the play onto the turret, but Rincadon, I think, is going to escape this. Bitna now can just fall out and count his money unless he gets caught here, but the root comes through. Paint Liquor with the reset might be able to turn this on to Tagged. The fight that looks so great for the Cougars now, maybe a bit too much, as Tagged is going to get taken down, but the shutdown ends up going to Rincadon. Still a terrible fight that it looked like at first. Instead, was a bit of an overstay from the Cougars, and look at this top lane now. Rat thoroughly in command as the wave crashing towards the turret. Still no plates gotten for him.
Yeah, the initial look from the Broncos, got to pause, maybe a Karma getting involved.
Yeah, hold on.
I think he's got the space.
Yeah, good. I mean, I just don't think they have enough damage to really kill him, but this is a very good roam anyway from Yomehime, because now Ornn can't just stand at the turret and make things difficult for the life of the Silas. Crash Bandicoot and Bitna making a play. The flip not gonna land. Bitna is just kind of roaming around and making things happen. Now is how you want to get value on the Twitch. Almost kind of play him like a second support sometimes. So much damage, and now, I mean, Herald fight is gonna be difficult. The bot lane already arrived for the Broncos, and the numbers equal, but it's still gonna be a dangerous fight, but they want to get it. They're actually turning on a Bitna. It's a good catch, Paint Liquor. Ooh, the rocket might land. Instead, the flash from Bitna. Well played from him to get out of there alive, but now they can turn and use the numbers advantage on the Herald fight. Herald so low, looking to take it, but instead Tag gets the smite and might get out with his life. Flash from Paint Liquor goes through. Oh, accelerate. He's now has maybe a bit of a flank angle as the rest of the team hitting onto Yomehime. It's going to be Ego to pick up the kill and find Elusive as ever will survive, but just a strange and interesting fight from both teams, because they got the Herald, but they did lose 2 players for it. So money getting back into the pockets a bit of the Broncos, but the mid lane gap is getting pretty big now, at least in terms of money. Playmaking will always still be strong for the Taliyah, but the one-shot ability of Crash Bandicoot is not going anywhere for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the Herald actually wasn't picked up, so Washington State, they killed it. They didn't get the eye, though, and Boise took a good fight. I like how first it started with zoning Bitna away from the fight, so they knew the Twitch wasn't there. And then the turn, Boise State, they played better as the clump that time around. And that's what they need to do, get together as a group and try and find the fights. That said, the Herald still did, it wasn't secured by Boise State, it wasn't secured by either team. The fight
That's a win
was
for
good
the
for
Broncos,
Boise State. Yeah, but Washington State, they did get a lot of resources.
True.
They got a lot of resources across the map, so Zoe's big, Twitch is big, and it's going to make this dragon fight harder.
Crash Bandicoots totally might be caught, though. Weaver's Wall going in to cut off every single path of escape as the Cake trying to land the flip, but instead it's just going to be the rocks. Kill will go over to him, shut down. They hand it over to the Taliyah to get a little bit back into this one, as they're now trying to pivot this, get a kill on the other side of the map. Good chompers looking to root Tag down. Rat taken so low, ult can't even be casted. Instead, the damage from the Twitch ult, like you said, outranging Paint Licker on the Jinx, and the ult's already back for Ego. Tag might get taken, but the shields, so amazing, so perfect, get him right out. The Cake, though, back from base, looking to extend this fight, lands the flip. Ego running him down, but once again, the shields just too much to cut through. And I was going to mention a bit before that Bitna actually, since he had to use the flash on the Jinx rocket, this next fight might be a bit easier, but instead it ended up being a weird kind of segmented fight. There was a bit going on bot, a bit going on mid, and now, I mean, kills going the way of Washington State. Rat dies for the first time, but they still have better flashes online for this Dragon fight, which isn't quite being forced yet from the Cougars, but I don't even know if you can even really contest this one very easily if you're Boise State here.
Yeah, last mid fight just outnumbered the Cougars. They had more people there, and you could see them trying to take down Bitna, but Tagged was able to break through the front line, get to the Jinx, and this Xin Zhao in a very nice spot this game as well, up 1,000 gold on the Mel fight individually as the Zenith Blade goes wide. Trying to control space, kind of returning that. We were talking about that a little bit for Boise State, and a goal going into the day, something they're working on behind the scenes. At the moment, that banana brush, the one to the right,
okay,
of Yomihime, that's where you want to control Dragon off of, as Yomihime's caught.
But once again, a player escapes at such low HP. Rocket can't quite find the mark either, but that's a player out of the fight. Yomihime has to back as the teleport comes through from the Cake. They want to take the fight now. It's a death bush. Fine kind of gets caught. Root comes through. Weaver's Wall looking to cut off as the Ornn ult catches him on the way away, but still the damage is yet to be found for either team. Xin Zhao ult comes through. Tag looking to push. Backline has been found though. Bitna with the ult comes out of stealth, and this is big damage. Boise State has to run away. Everyone is falling down, and this might be a full team wipe too for Crash Bandicoot. Finds the other, and Rat is the last to fall. Double kill for Crash Bandicoot. I think 2 or 3 for Bitna, and they're gonna pivot straight to the Baron off of this, and that was weird. I mean, it almost looked like the Broncos had just kind of the right idea on that fight, but just a really great second effort from the Cougars. I mean, they got the whole team wipe, and now they're gonna get a free uncontested Baron off of that.
Yeah, Bitna's entrance into the fight was massive, was able to find Paint Licker immediately off the rip as he came out of stealth. And the damage just wasn't there for Boise State. I also think there was a world where Boise State might have been able to take that fight a little bit sooner. But in the replay, like, Tagged absorbed so much of the initial damage through the Crescent Guard, and that Wit's End gives him a lot of beefiness against this team specifically, and especially once Paint Licker is out of the fight. He was taken out first. It's magic resist against a team that is doing full magic damage afterwards. So it makes Paint Licker going down first, just given what Xin Zhao has built, it makes it even harder for Boise State to get through Tagged.
Well, but they're going for another fight. They're looking for a pick. Chompers won't land, but instead the Leona ult will. Yomihime's been playing with it for a while, has been kind of teasing the death a little bit, and finally dies. No more flash to work with, but the other way, Bitna just walks right in with the ult. It's so much damage. 7-1, now up to 9-1. Each auto hitting so much. 500, it's just too much to contend with, especially if you don't expect it, as the Broncos with the Baron against them kind of getting walked down into their own base. The health is so low that they're not safe yet. They want to make a play on Bitna though. They want to shut him down, trying to kite. He can't get away, but Tagged will trade onto the Cake under the turret as Crash Bandicoot's alive, and that is a great find. What an angle as well through the minions. Weaves in the ability, and so much damage. Takes down Rat, now able to spread out the buff for all 3 lanes, and this is looking a little dire now for the Broncos.
Yeah, I will say during that, the Cougars were able to play out 3 lanes too, so a lot of resources being acquired. Good shutdown on the Bitna, that's necessary. The Broncos have to hunt for shutdowns to get back into the game. That one did go on to Ornn. I also like the initial look on the Karma because Yomihime's flash was burned the flash around the Dragon. So I like the idea to look. Unfortunately, the kill went on the Leona, not the Jinx, where you won all the gold. And also sticking around the mid lane afterwards, you did burn both ults to try and find the Karma. You have to wait for Twitch to show. And that's one of the challenges going up against Twitch, especially a Fed one. You really have to respect the power that he can have when he exits stealth. And we saw that power as Bitna was able to find the double kill after the tools were used onto the Karma. So if you're going to use your ults on a target that is not Twitch, I think being disciplined in retreating and waiting for those ults to come back up going to be important for the Broncos. But we'll say the Cougars are playing the map a little bit greedy. They're trying to play a lot of lanes here. So that's something the Broncos could look to punish up series.
That's half HP already off Rinkadon. Just one hit from Crash Bandicoot will do it. Inhibitor looking to fall as Paint Liquor gets hit again. 4 levels down. It's just almost insurmountable as the engage comes through. Rat trying to weather the storm, but he can only do it for so long. Still, though, I mean, 5 players alive. It's not going to be easy to walk them down in their own Nexus turrets. They're picking up these inhibitors, but so early, I mean, the Broncos can live a bit longer. They might be able to get some easy farm in their base, but it's still not really what they want. Posturing for a fight still are the Cougars. Crash Bandicoot able to poke down and make this fight a bit easier with just slow pokes as finally they choose a moment to go in. Stun coming on to Rat. They look try and wait a little bit longer. Third inhibitor is going to go down, which makes things so difficult, and I think they want to end it here. In they go. Stolen Malphite ult finds 3. He might get traded for this quickly, though. Ornald is going to land onto 2 players under the turret, tanking. Everything is tagged, and hold on. In the back, everybody's quite low. Tag, though. Has to get flipped into Fountain to die. He's too tanky. 1 turret down, only 2 remaining, but it's only Crash Bandicoot and Yomahime, though. That might kill. Straight up. The Ignite's going to find it onto the Cake, but it's going to get traded back. The Cake is going to land that, and it's a support 1v1 for the game. Yomahime versus Rinkadon with the support of all the super minions. It might be too much to account for. Rinkadon trying his best, but all the minions joining in, doing their damage onto the Nexus. It's so low, but Paint Liquor is back now. Hopefully can clear out a few of these minions, and Yomahime might have to run away, but Rinkadon wants to chase him down and win this. Rocket is big, makes the shield come through, still trying to get this kill in the face of all the minions, but the shield is so much health, it's just too tanky, but here comes Ego to find the kill, has to commit the ult, but Yomahime will not survive, and now, with all these minions in the base, this is not the worst for the Broncos, at least, I mean, because the game's not over, but also because they can get some easy farm that might have been difficult to extend for and get, like, without all the minions in their base.
We're getting into, like, alternative League of Legends science territory. You know, we're giving up double inhibs. It means more big creeps for you, so you get more gold, but Bitna's on the hunt.
Oh, still, though, I mean, you've got to worry about Bitna. That damage is just ridiculous, but another ult, it's so good. Bitna's down, but it's going to get traded back the other way still. There's not really any damage for the Broncos. It looks like this might be their final stand. Rinkadon and Rat, so tanky, really trying their best here, but the damage is just almost insurmountable. All the minions have won their battles, and they're attacking the Nexus. Only a formality now. These two fighting to try and stay alive as the Nexus is going to fall, and Washington State is going to pick up this first game in 26 minutes.
Kind of a fun first game. Honestly, some good back and forth. I feel like Boise State had a good direction for how they wanted to play out their composition and what they wanted to do. Just weren't quite able to execute. And I think in the post-mort here, as Coach K kind of talks to the team, really focusing on firing those ults onto Twitch, if possible, is a big one. Also, trying to make sure that, like, respecting timers. When you play comps that are really ultimate-based, you got windows where you're strong, where you can fire those Rs, and then windows where you're going to be weaker, where you're missing those tools. So I feel like Boise State, they had the right idea of how to play out that composition. Just weren't quite able to connect with those first few plays enough to get leads somewhere. As Washington State talked about how in their composition, they had the ability to probably win lanes with the counter picks they had, and they did a really, really nice job of that. I think that Zoe ended up being a really big wrench that Boise State struggled to deal with as she got bigger and that game kind of continued.
Yeah, I mean, Zoe is one of those characters for sure that, I mean, if they get too far ahead, like, they're going to be pretty strong early depending on what matchup they pick. And late game, of course, if you get caught alone, you're probably just going to die. But when they're able to get enough ahead that they're a threat and a terror in the mid game, that's always dangerous. And I did like what you said, though, about kind of the communication about taking fights, because there was a good window there after they made Bitna utilize the flash in one of those fights where they kind of caught him a little bit off guard, made him use the flash. They were really going hard on him for a while with all the ults, the Malphite ult, the Weaver's Wall, the flip, everything was hitting him, and they were getting that pick, but just at that point, he wasn't really the only problem on the team anymore.
No, that's a good point. Also, you got to pay some respect over to Tagged, as that Wits End rush on Xin Zhao. I know that he's the highest elo player we have coming into the game today. I was perplexed at first. If he's going to do that, I'd encourage maybe going for the attack speed first and not the defense. But man, that ended up being pretty good. I'm a fan of that curveball that Xin was able to throw out. We definitely saw the value of those fights where Jinx wasn't able to stay alive at first. The difficulty that Boise State's comp had against that Xin Zhao was very real. So kind of a nice wrench thrown in with that build we're not used to seeing. I think that there was some merit to it that game, and Tagged ended up having a good one.
I wonder if I could sit him down and ask him, like, what did you see that made you go for that? Because to me, that almost maybe rings like a bit of a team coordination. Like, hey, like in these fights, it's your job to go on like the Talia. So you want to build MR, so you can just go 1v1 her. We'll deal with the Jinx. Like, we got her. It's not even like you don't even got to worry about it. So I wonder if maybe something like that was going on, or if that's just like you've just played so much, there's just some sort of number in the matrix that sticks out to you that makes you go for that build. But yeah, really it was so difficult because having a Twitch that fed, it makes every fight kind of scary. It's almost like a minefield because the Twitch, it's like we got to be here, but at any moment, if we stay a little too long, we're not going to see it coming, but he could be here and he could just clean everything up.
Oh yeah, I mean in games where you're playing against a Twitch, I'm sure Boise's comms were very much like, where is Twitch? We see Twitch. He's mid. You have to track him throughout the game, especially going up against a Twitch that does get fed, because we saw the fights where Bitna was able to get really good openers, and definitely built that way, that rat-a-tat-tat. It hits very hard when Twitch gets ahead and you get that bonus range. So honestly, a fun game one. That was, in a way, I think, a little bit more competitive than what I was expecting. Again, I appreciate the direction that Boise State had with how they wanted to play out their composition a lot. I think it was the right direction. Just weren't able to execute and find the win of that one, as the Cougars executed a good game. They got a lot of resources and used them well.
Do you think that kind of, well, so looking forward now to match 2, I mean, do you think that's kind of going to, do you think they're going to change up what they're doing? Because like you said, I thought they kind of had the right idea with what they were going for. Like you said, the execution just a little bit off. But, I mean, is there any, like, adjustment you think that they would kind of go for? I think maybe just, at least in my opinion, it just seemed like it was very, very reliant on the Talia and the Jinx being the ones to kind of take people home. Because we even saw that fight where it was Rinkadon and Rat taking a pick onto Bitna, and they just don't have enough damage. They just can't kill him.
Well,
so it's interesting though, because I feel like if it had gone really late and they were equal, I still feel like the fights would have gone their way.
Yeah, Twitch does scale really hard. I think that the fights were to just boil down to, do you kill Twitch or not? And as the game continued, we saw them having difficulties with that. I got to ask you a question, Zach. I am curious. In my prep, my homework for this, it was really old school. I was handed some OP.GGs. Which was fun, but do we have any Fearless draft? Is that a factor? I don't believe it is.
I think it is. Yeah.
It is?
Fearless is a factor,
then,
so yeah.
That means that everything's different in the next game in a way, right? We have to change things up if we're going to rock with some Fearless. So, I don't know. I feel like playstyle-wise, if we are going to play for Pantnicker again, it really felt like that was the comp that Boise was building. We may or may not see that. You have to find different pieces, but at least that's the style we saw. I'm going to be curious to track throughout this series if the Cougars end up going for something where they prefer red side. They want to play for counters and play to make sure that their solo laners are acquiring a lot of resources and then using those leads later on to win. Whereas game 1, the Broncos definitely took some powerful ults, tried to make plays, didn't make enough of the right plays to win. Curious if we see the same style, but of course with Fearless, you oftentimes have to adapt. That's one of the big differences now with Fearless draft that I talk a lot about at the tier 1 level is you cannot be the team now that has the identity of we're going to play a lot of melee solo laners, or like we're going to counter pick or play for invades a lot. Because with Fearless, you kind of have to do a little bit of everything. You have to be really flexible because things change game to game.
Well, that was going to be something I was going to ask you is with Fearless, I could see an argument both ways where we kind of were talking about the difference between pick this for the team comp versus pick this because this is just a character I'm really good on. This is my pocket pick. You don't want to see me on the Recon. You don't want to see me on the Zoe or whatnot, like Crash Bandicoot Enjoyer, right? But do you think personally that like Fearless favors the outlook of, okay, just draft good comps, or do you think it kind of helps to maybe pick like a pocket pick first game because now you can move on to picking for a comp, or if you just have a lot of pocket picks, like it's an interesting argument. I don't know or kind of where I stand on that.
These are good questions. No, these are good questions. I think that sometimes teams view it differently. For me, I think the pocket picks are more valuable in Fearless as counters because it can leave good blind picks up. A lot of the times when this game is played at the highest level, when you are blind picking something, so for people at home that don't know, you're drafting something without knowing what they're going to play into it for you. You have to be ready to play a lot of matchups, in theory, if you're going to blind it. And that's really tough to do. It's tough to find champs that are blindable where they can be played into a lot of matchups. Also tough for a player, especially at a collegiate level, to be able to execute because you may be comfortable in some matchups and not others. So that's where I like pocket picks as counters where you know your player is going to be really comfortable playing this matchup. The opponent may not be. Now, in terms of team identities, I think a lot of the times in Fearless Draft, having a strong comp identity, regardless of what it is, can give you a lot of benefit because at least you have a lot of ways to play the game as the game moves forward. Like, we knew that game that Boise wanted to play through Malphite ult, through Leona ult. Like, we're going to press R and go, right? I think that that's something where it can change game to game what that identity is, but I very much prefer taking a team that you feel like is very strong together or as a core, and then just dealing with whatever people throw at you. Because I think sometimes in Fearless, the strongest comp identities just win out on the day.
Well, I am very glad to hear your opinion on it. I guess we'll get to figure out the coach's opinion on it very soon, but we've got a little bit of a break coming up, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for Game 2.
How's it look so far? Comfortable?
Times and places all in who you share 'em with. Joy,
I got in.
who you share it with.
This is a great use of your callback.
Who you share it with.
Since you guys have been in here, some things have changed. We've updated this place to be in its final form. New cabinets, new counters, all sorts of new stuff in here. This has turned into a place that wouldn't look out of place at an SEC or Big Ten football facility, and Dairy West has allowed us to have it here. We've taken a holistic approach to our player nutrition, and we're really thankful that Dairy West has made sure that our fueling station is the best in college esports and really at industry standard for any college athletic department.
Now earn up to 4 times the rewards with the ICCU Premier Rewards Visa credit card. It's the credit card from the credit union you love.
My friends know me as Derek, but I'm also Master Sergeant Raxter. This is my life in the Air National Guard.
Scott Matlock, underrated recruit, has built himself into one of the best defensive players in the Mountain West.
What would you do if you couldn't fail? Would you see every setback as a catalyst to keep going? This is the innovator's mindset, because innovation demands daring. It's finding thousands of ways that don't work, and the one that changes everything. It's when your unrelenting spirit sees the world's needs and says, I will create something better. So, what will you do? Will you let your genius run wild? Give yourself the space to be great? Set your sights on something even bigger, because we know changing the world doesn't happen by chance. It comes out of the blue.
Ladies and gentlemen, attention please. About to start the show. Better take your seats. It's time to let the curtain rise. We're gonna shake the room. We're gonna
Now earn up to 4 times the rewards with the ICCU Premier Rewards Visa credit card. It's the credit card from the credit union you love.
This is our new home.
Mission control, engine lost.
Call you after.
I'll be right next to you.
Galio, it's going to make it probably a lot easier to play, but still Galio, it's not like a free, like, will you lock this in? It's just, don't even worry about lane. It's free. I'm just going to win it. Like, you still got to be careful. Galio is a bit of a threat, especially to someone with, like, those ADCs. The reason why they're not played a lot in mid and top is just because if you make one mistake, it's over. And Vayne has a few more kind of get-out-of-jail-free cards, so to speak, with the E that can hit people away, or the roll, the invisibility, but still, like, that's a call. I'm excited to see how that works out for Crash Bandicoot enjoyer, because like we said, those mechanics great on the Zoe, but it's still such a crazy risky pick to go for the Vayne. I do really like seeing it though. It does remind me of the G2 incident.
Yeah, that's a good shout as well. Just if Crash Bandicoot, of course, Galio, really good gank assist for Kha'Zix, supplies a ton of crowd control coming in. Could really set up well for Ego and the Broncos if he is able to find Vayne in the mid lane and make Crash Bandicoot, crash out. Did you ever play those games growing up? I'm trying to think of, like, the animation in terms of what happens when you fall off a map, right? I feel like that's got to be the goal here for the Broncos this game. Make sure that the Vayne can't tumble. It's going to be more of a spin out than an actual spin out.
I do know about the noise, him going, whoa, when he falls off.
Yeah.
So make him go, whoa. That's the goal for this one. So, yeah, but, well, just kind of like I was saying, though, like, even a specific interaction, right? Because what a lot of two set up for that Kha'Zix, what the Galio would want to do is hit the fly in, then get the big taunt go in the circle. But the problem is when you're casting that, increasing the range, Vayne can just kick you away, and now you can't flash. You can't. It's essentially just a waste of two abilities for one. So it's going to be it's going to be a hard mid lane matchup already. I mean, that was. I wouldn't say it's where they won the game through last game necessarily, but that was definitely a big part of that, was just Crash Bandicoot's ability to get ahead and be such a threat in those mid-game fights, because if he hit a bubble on you, you're just essentially dead. And the equivalent of that for Vayne is if he gets big enough, like, he's going to be kind of moving like the Twitch was moving last game a little bit, of doesn't have to play like the ADC, but can kind of go around and make things happen, and with a bit more of like a duelist kind of style.
Yeah, I know that Crit Vayne has been rising in popularity. Going Essence Reaver, you get pretty much unlimited mana. And then the crits are pretty big because the Q, the tumble, and an ulting, you get more AD, but you get like a bigger reset. AD ratio. Yeah, it's an auto reset, and you get kind of a nice AD ratio. So we're used to seeing on-hit Vayne, where if you get the Rage Blade, the passive procs are going off more and more, and you're building on-hit items, so you're just trying to apply that. But I think that's probably going to be the build this game. If it is Crit Vayne, though, then we covered our bases here. I know it's been the popular one.
You shouted it out. We'll come back to it. If you say it, I'll shout you out. But I think also part of the difference between the on-hit and the crit, though, is who you're playing against, like you said. And since you're against the Galio and the Scion, you kind of want it to be procced a little bit more. But
is it top Vayne and mid-show?
Whoa.
That's what's showing early. We'll have to see.
I don't know, though. Like, I feel like you wouldn't want that, though. I think you would want Vayne against the Galio, because, like I said, I feel like Cho'Gath is just a better matchup into the Scion.
I'm with you. I am with you. I agree. The only, I guess, silver lining for Vayne top would be it's easier for Galio to be gank assist against the Vayne than it is for the Scion. But you were talking about the Cho'Gath matchup, like, you were a high elo League of Legends player. Yeah, I feel like this is one that you faced before, Scion versus Cho'Gath.
I've watched too much of the
Q always gets canceled. You're right. It's impossible to Q in this lane as Scion.
I've watched too much of the Bouse. I've watched him play against all sorts of characters up in the top lane. So, also, something to note is 7274 and Snar Fury are in this one now instead of Paint Liquor in the Cake. So, different maybe look in that bot mid. I know that, of course, Sam7274 has been working on the Galio a lot, and Smolder is one of Snar Fury's picks, so they're maybe just they wanted that look for the team, and they brought in the specialists, so they'll get their chance to show what they're made of here in this second game, and this one's important. It would be like a great win, because I feel like if you get this one, who knows what's going to go on in the next one. Like, I feel like it's just almost like a full reset, regardless of how that first game looked.
So it fearless just gets more and more chaotic. But as a visitor to the Broncos program today, how often is it, or how common is it to have subs come in for the series for Coach K and the squad?
I think it's very important. Not even just in League of Legends, but in pretty much every game. There's a lot of, especially at Boise State, for example, on the Valorant team, which I cast a lot. There's 6 players that are all just insanely good. So just depending on what look you want, you can bring people in, bring people out, and a lot of the time, it kind of just gives you like a little bit of a tempo advantage on whoever you're playing against, because they're not expecting it and you are. So you already have the plan, and they're going to have to make the adjustment of like, okay, wait, who's this guy? Get his OPGG up here. Like, what does he play? So it kind of gets you a step ahead, and I like it a lot because, I mean, it's good to get reps for everybody. So of course, a lot of the time, I mean, when you've got everybody ready to go, like, I think it's important to bring in some different looks sometimes, and I think that's the sign of a really good coaching infrastructure is how ready people are to just get in the game and perform instantly.
I mean, the game is a skill, right? People play some roles, some champs better than others, so trying to leverage that, always nice. Also, as I do my homework and go through some of the OP.GGs for Boise, potential at 7-2-7-4 even just being in the lobby. Change the pick ban strategy. As keep in mind, Nico was banned away in game 1. This game, they chose to ban the Aurora, which is hands down his most played in solo queue. At 43 games of Aurora, next most is the Galio, which he said he's been working on, but could have opened up the Nico. That's a pretty valid option to swap, like find subs too, if you think you can get a ban out of it. That could really open, like if Nico's a pick you really want to play, or another pick you're really hoping they'd open up to ban the Aurora, could have led to the strat that we saw now, because I know that on the side of the Cougars, Nico is also their support's most played champion too. So that was going to be a contested pick coming into the series.
So you got that first pick, you're kind of looking to almost you want it, and then you also want to take it away. So yeah, I really like that point, because obviously you're more used to the tier 1 side of things, but here in collegiate, that's something I really like, is there's a bit of mystery to every game, because a lot of the time you don't know exactly who you're playing against. There's just not that much information out there. Obviously, if it's like, okay, we're playing against Faker, like, okay, we know what he's kind of gonna go for here, but it's like, oh, I've never played against this guy. Like, okay, I guess he plays a lot of Aurora. I guess let's ban that out, but maybe that's part of the plan all around, is to bait the Aurora ban into the Galio pick, stuff like that. That's something you see a lot more kind of at the collegiate level, and I like it a lot, because it's a bit more mysterious, and you really never know what you're gonna get.
No, it's a good point. I mean, college is fun. I was very lucky when I was a student to be involved in my own esports program, work with some of the students as a coach and a student director, and just kind of seeing how people grow, you figure that out. Also, people change. I was there for 4 years, and remember different iterations of the team, different people coming in, having subs or not having subs. We had some years we had subs. We ran 2 supports one year, and I don't know, it's a good experience. Whenever you get people in the room competing, if it's going well, you should always be able to get more out of the person next to you, right? And that kind of goes both ways.
I agree, yeah.
We'll see as Boise State, I should say, they reach into their bag, find a couple subs, and have a unique strategy hitting the rift here for game 2, Zach.
Ready to go. They've got to win this one if they want a chance for that 3rd game to try and take this match, and the Cougars looking to close it out now with some cheeky little picks, little counter swap matchups as 7-2-7-4 spotted, going for that early ward. Damage coming through as the hook actually lands. It's already a bit of a fiesta early. Rincadon caught by the hook, taken down so low, and not really any time to base. It looks like they want to invade this blue side as well. Rat and 7-2-7-4 trying to stand their ground, but it's going to be vision aplenty for the Cougars here as the minions start to group up. And really quickly, though, just wanted to shout, you said you're from, you went to Miami, Ohio, right?
Yes, sir.
I saw that. Didn't they just go undefeated in basketball? Like, shout out.
Yes, they did.
Really
it was
impressive from
the
them.
basketball team. They were not that good when I was there, but we're able to find it here as Flash from the Nico. Could be a Nautilus death, though. He does have Flash up. I thought Snarfury was going to maybe get in there. Do you want to do some housekeeping real quick here, Zach? Real quick, Kha'Zix snuck into the blue buff side of Tag. Tag did not stick around for the invade, so this is going to be a big surprise for Nidalee when she gets into her bot side jungle and sees it missing.
Secretly really, really good for Ego, because he probably thinks his blue side's gone right now, so that's even why he went here, but instead he gets all the benefit and really none of the downside of getting invaded.
Yeah, I mean, they are not going to see this gank coming
he's going to have an early gank if he wants to go for it.
Yeah, Nico could be hiding in the way
already.
as
Oh, he's going.
Here we go.
They want to go. Ego starting to walk up, scaling. He's been noted now. Yomehime, the target, really nowhere to go. Oh, and that's going to be a quick first blood. Jumps in, takes him right out. Yomehime holds the flash. Probably wise, as that's going to be a great kill. As on the jungler, like you said, that's exactly what you want to happen, is get that Kha'Zix ahead early.
Yeah, Tag does see the blue buff on Kha'Zix. I think intelligently crosses and takes that side of the jungle that Ego might have thought that Italy started in.
Oh, but he might. This might be a fight, because Ego's going in right now.
Yeah.
Ego's pushing up already, and if this doesn't get smited, Ego could steal it. Oh, Tag is the one to find it, but Rat is here quick. Jump already used from Ego, though.
Galio.
Actually, Tagged isn't out of the woods quite yet. 7274 is here with the flash. Taunt still hits, but the hookup can't land. Tagged has to burn the flash, though, to stay alive, and that, all in all, isn't
this is
the
tricky
worst.
for Boise.
The fight's not over still. The fight, like you said, is still tricky because Crash Bandicoot's here, and Crash Bandicoot's full, and 7274's dash gets stopped on the wall, which will lead to his demise. But Ego actually gets the top laner at the same time, and this fight's still not over. Ego's full HP. Rat is alive, has enough mana maybe for a slam. It's not going to land, though, and Tag is going to pick up that quick kill. Rat has nothing to do but watch his teammate fall.
A shutdown, too, going over to Tagged as Washington State answers back in the top side. I will say that for Ego, thinking hindsight is... Oh, Bitna.
Wait, this might be a kill already. Snar Fury, so much damage. Has to use the barrier and backsteps the hook, but that might mean Bitna can escape. Still standing in the bush, actually gets the kill. So well played from Bitna. And now Rinkadon has to still try and escape, but only one more auto might do it. Dodges it with the W, and actually might live now. Still, though, the wave is crashing, and Rinkadon in such a tough position. Does he try and stay, or does he go in the flash? Hook hits him. That's a whole wave loss for the bot laner, and oh, they had that early advantage, but now things going a bit more the way of the Cougars. And that was, I would like to say, isn't that crazy from Bitna to stay in that bush knowing he might have a chance to secure the kill with his Q?
It was. I honestly think that Snar Fury is going to want that one back. The trinket was available to him, and if there was no barrier, no flash on Bitna, so I think if he flashes forward, trinkets the brush, and then is able to Q or auto Q, the Varus is dead, and at least he gets a kill and is able to trade out. Instead, really well played by Bitna and Yomehime to stick around, find the fight, and that's a pretty big lead for now the on-hit Varus. It's not poke Varus, as we teased it could have been. Said going on-hit, must have been thinking in the Scion and Galio. A lot of mileage off the Blight stacks and trying to pop those Ws and doing that percent max HP damage, which we talked about it with Scion, we were talking about it with Galio. A lot of HP coming in for this Boise State squad.
He's the bot lane still, despite that fight not going their way. They're not under too much pressure yet. Tagged is towards top side. So far, the mid lane has been holding decently strong. However, 7274 is quite a bit behind in the CS. Makes sense given that he's melee interranged, but he isn't really playing for lane anyway. The Galio, of course, going to be utilized later in the match for those engage fights. Smolder just trying to stack up. The hook's going to land, though. Bitna already can trade big damage onto this, and if he lands this Q, it might be a kill already. Has to flash early to get away, and Yomehime tanks the tower shot, maybe making things a bit more even of a trade than it might have been at one point. But topside now is dangerous. Everyone's kind of grouping up. Ego is going to hit this back Hex Flash. Going to be utilized. I don't think they have any idea. Hook lands onto Rinkadon. Big damage root as well. Solo has to use the flash, and now both bot laners, no flash to speak of. And if they keep getting caught by these hooks, it's only a matter of time.
That's 2 levels up for Bitna. That's a very, very big lead, and Ego making his way down to the bot lane just because I don't think this is the play that he wants, but I think it's the play the team needs. They need a little bit of help. As
I
his
think
bot
they might
lane
have
for
saw
Washington
him,
State. No, he snuck in. He can get around. Nidalee might
he
be
get
here,
around,
too.
you're right. He wasn't spotted. Yomehime now none the wiser. Gonna fall. Ego, his 3rd kill of the game, but he's running into Tag. Tagged is in support already, and Turning though with the Galio ult, trying to fight it a little. Tag kites it out and still wants to keep going. Ooh, Spear just did half his health. That's not going to be great because Tagged isn't done yet. And look at that Spear. What a shot. It almost takes down Ego right away. Tagged in scary, showing why he picked that in Italy. But Ego still has 3 kills, so he'll be scaling into this next one. But his camps are going to get taken away, at least a couple on this bot side.
Tagged feels like a pretty appropriate IGN for these Nidalee Spears connecting. They're tagging Boise State, and frankly, trying to do what his mid laner did in the last game with those Zoe Qs and the skill shots, peppering the Broncos, as that's going to be bot side jungle camps that are on the Broncos side, going the way of the Cougars, as the Cougar herself getting some work done here in the bot side.
Nidalee getting so much value already. Setting up a little bit for this dragon, not really needing to take it yet though, but they're getting that vision, that deep ward set up in the brush. Ego wants another though. He's already here and Find has no mana. Flash is available if he wants to play for it, but he doesn't actually use it correctly because it gets ran down anyway. 7274 trying to dash away, but Tagged takes the dash because he knows he wants this fight. He's okay with getting hit, but the support is here. And does he expect Ego already? Oh, these teams have got to be careful. This Crash Bandicoot is quickly in support in that level 8. He is the threat on the server. Still, kill once again. Going on to Rat. Flash already goes through from Yomehime.
Oh, the clone!
Splits the players with the hook. Gonna be lucky that they didn't get hit by this one, as they realize they can kind of just walk it down. Tag now soloing these grubs, just taking them under the cover of night, knowing that Rat had to back after that play, and the bot lane is really, really pressed in here. Good damage found though, might make Bitna unable to go for anything more, but he does have both summoners available to him.
Yeah, actually the clone, the Nico clone caught Varus ult, which was big. If that goes through, it's a winning play for Washington State. But the fact the clone did eat that ultimate, it does mean that the Smolder is able to survive. The Broncos bot lane survives, and I mean, that's much needed. I think if Smolder goes down in that scenario, you're already down a level and a half, already down the 2 kills that Varus was able to pick up throughout this game. I think that wouldn't have been the doom, but would have made for a very difficult game, because you need Smolder to be involved in this game, especially with the comp that the Broncos have picked, right? Because Scion Galio, you aren't taking these solo laners for the damage. You're taking them for the control that they're able to bring and the space they're looking to hopefully open up for Smolder, which you know was a big goal today for the Broncos, using space better.
What a good play. Snarfury gets the hook.
Nice.
He baits it in from Yomehime. It hits, and then the pop Blossom used shuts down Yomehime instantly. And yeah, it seems like a bit of the tendency. He really likes to go. Yomehime, one of a very, very aggressive player. Always the one either catching or getting caught himself. It will be him on the receiving end this time, but still, that kill hard to really pivot into a good, like, you can't really get too much off of it. It's hard to kind of pivot that into an objective here.
Yeah, they weren't able to turn it into a dragon. I still really like the play from Rinkodan. I know last game we saw a couple instances of that on their Leona, as they tried to find the setups. I'd say connected a few times, but didn't connect enough to make a big difference down there. But appreciate some of the creativity, especially playing with Ego in the jungle too. Just picking the right time where they had numbers to make that play, and now
this could be dangerous though. Extending for the fight could get them trapped, as they're going to get pushed from both angles. Tagged is going in. Yomehime now, knowing his team is behind him, willing to hit the hook, trying to run in and get some stun, but actually the Broncos pretty much out of it. Didn't get hit by any CC and are able to evade it, but now they've kind of given up their angle into the Dragon Pit. Cougars kind of thinking about if they want to take it or not.
Ooh, no control. Okay, now they see that they're spotted. This was fine for the Broncos. I mean, they were able to get back to the waves, so they don't lose
this could be
a
big
lot.
damage
Also,
now. Rat could get, I mean, there's no cooldowns for Find if he's able to catch up, but he's just a little bit too quick maybe. Q, of course, super difficult to land, but he's got them pretty low. TP being back, but I mean, if you base into a Scion at all, he's going to get at least 2 plates, so Rat, good tempo, gets him a good advantage, as he's thoroughly in the lead, but Tag now.
I don't love the build the Cho'Gath went for this game. I like going AP like this. we were talking about how Cho'Gath needed to be the one tank. And
yeah, oh yeah, you're
this
right. I
build,
didn't even
like,
notice. He's got Alternator Codex.
Yeah, building damage into Scion is not exactly the winning formula. The way you want to play this matchup
really
out as Cho'Gath is you play for the Vorpal Spikes or E, because that does percentage max HP damage, and that's how you play into the Scion.
If you both build tank, the Cho'Gath out-trades Scion just by merit of you can just hit more abilities than him. Like, he just can't. Ooh, really good root, though. That's going to be decent damage. Snarf Fury. Ooh, and even takes the tower shot. That's not what Bitno kind of wanted to see.
There's a Nico
It's a level
flash.
up now, Rat. Oh, you're right. Nico is in there.
Let's
looking
rip
to
it.
get sneaky. Are they going to rip it, though? They're waiting for 7274 to get close enough for the ult, but they don't have time to wait. Yomahime goes first, but in goes the Pop Blossom. Catches both of them just on the edge. Bitna so low. Shutdown goes the way of Rinkadon, and 7274 is here for the formality. Picks up the kill onto Yomahime as we pivot to top lane.
Fine's
He
dead.
might have gotten found himself. Ego is here looking for his 4th kill, but he might be elusive. No, the flash will run him down, and that's going to be guaranteed plates in this top lane. Destruction on both sides for the Broncos, but they're still kind of a bit behind in this gold lead at least.
Yeah, I mean, Crash Bandicoot wasn't able to move, but does find the Vayne with a 50 CS lead. That said, the Broncos just won on both sides of the map. As we'll say, I would have liked the trigger pull a little bit earlier from Rinkadon. Maybe it gets the Smolder out of there, because the combo was nice from the Cougars to make sure that this time around, the clone doesn't eat.
They're just
the
going for it.
Verisol.
Stat check fight in the jungle. Tag knows he's stronger, knows his numbers, but he's still got to get out because the crew is on him, and the shutdown goes the way of 7274. Now going to be so strong on the Galio. Is going to get some items, but they might be caught. They committed too far to the pit, and they're going to pay for their play. Gold going the other way, but I mean, that's still a shutdown in your pocket. A little bit refunded to the Cougars, though. A good adjustment from their jungler. Might be going a little bit too far, but the rest of the team is ready for it. And yeah, going back a little bit to that fight, I agree with you. I would have liked to see the Pop Blossom a little earlier, because Galio's going to be there regardless. You don't need him to open. Like, in fact, you kind of want to take the fight while you want them to overcommit into the Galio. So I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, we'll say we stop the bot fight. It's too bad that the shutdowns aren't going the way of Smolder. I think Boise State would really prefer the gold is on their marksman, but you can see top lane. Our observers are pointing it out. We're a fan of what Rat's doing up here. He's beating up on the build. It's not the best
playing
into
this
Scion.
really well. Of course, at this point, you can kind of just stat check him because Fine just doesn't really have enough to kill him, but he is playing this matchup a lot better than I expected. Of course, I thought it was going to be a tough one, but instead he is taking the lead, and that Scion's going to be a threat. Then Vayne is going to have a lot to deal with. Snar Fury, though, getting hooked. Pop Blossom having to be used to try and peel, but instead it locks him in place for the double kill from Bitna. Up to 6-1, but Ego's here, ready to trade this back. Gets the first.
That's
a good shutdown. Ego has been doing so well. Can Rat get this? He's been trying to get the solo for so long with the flash, and he might get eaten. Oh no, the jungler saves Find, gives him the chance to get the kill back. And I mean, you can be winning the trades for 90% of the time, but that last 10%, if the jungler's there, it's not going to go your way, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the flash, the idea behind it for Rat was to keep the shield up, because if you have the shield up, you can pop it for the damage, and just wasn't able to keep it up to pop it for the damage. So
once
good luck
again,
here by
look
Tag,
who's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Yomahime has to flash and is still going to die, just getting really aggressive for that vision. It was only really Crash Bandicoot to support, and once again, I mean, Yomahime is giving them a chance to get a little bit more tempo on the map. They'll have an extra player to move around and get some vision here, but Yomahime, I mean, if you're going to die, he's picking decent times to die at least.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Ego's got a lot of gold on his shoulders. I know he's down in CS and down a level in that jungle matchup, but one away from a bonus evolve. And that first evolve, he took the Q evolve, so more isolated damage. He's been finding some isolated members and putting out that damage and getting some kills on the Kazakhs. So Kazakhs being set up like this, I know we were harping on Smolder damage being really important in this game for the Broncos.
They're going in. Pop Blossom finds it onto 2
Finds.
actually. Crash Bandicoot solo has to flash and Yomahime again falls to Ego. Ego treating the Nautilus
Tag.
like a camp this far in this game, up to 7 kills, and that's so important. No flash on Vayne makes the next fight so much easier as they quickly are trying to pivot onto Tag, who has to sprint away. 7274 looking to catch it. Top lane fight. I mean, there's no TP for Rat. The advantage still in fine, but he's low enough now where it might make it weird if he wants to go, and he does. He's TPing in into the 4v3, but he's so low HP. The Dragon's still going to fall, and they don't even want to take the fight. Slow from Smolder is on to 3 players. Thumbs up, Emo baits the chain. Just a little bit of aura right there, and they just get the Dragon and get out. They take the TP, and that's a great fight from the Broncos there.
The Broncos are playing better this game. I like some of the looks that I see. I like how they're playing with some tempo, too. And for me, the Cougars made a mistake by Sion TPing there. I thought there was a world where A, Rat could have canceled, B, that TP was just late for the Dragon. And the fact that Broncos were able to get their hands on that, I think an early soul might benefit them if they are able to do so. I know that Smolder's in the game, but the scaling of the Varus and the Vayne can be pretty scary later on. So do you think the onus is on the Broncos to keep the pace of this game up, which, to be fair, Ego's doing his best at doing just that?
It's strange, though, still, like, they're pretty much equal in most things. Of course, they're down Grubs, down 1 turret, but they're equal kills and still almost 5,000 gold down just from how much CS Cougars have been able to get in these matchups. Like, I mean, Vayne Galio is so difficult. Once again, that's the 3rd time in like 5 minutes that Ego's gotten a pick onto Yomahime. That's really great for him. I mean, he's just stacking up money, and soon there's not really going to be anyone to contest him late game, because if he gets on anyone, he'll be even okay with going on the Cho'Gath, because Cho'Gath's not even building tank.
And look at the gold that Ego has compared to his teammates there. It really puts into perspective how important this Kha'Zix is, and Yomahime. You know, the only thing that would have been better for Ego there is if Yomahime was worth more than 100 gold, which is all Yomahime was worth to the Kha'Zix.
He's got to get like hubris or something going here, like even just get Medjai's for no reason, because at this point he's really stacking up some kills, but
a W evolve too.
Like you said,
that slows diabolical on the Void Racks when you evolve it. It's like it's really, really impressive.
They've got to be careful, though. This fight could be a bit more dangerous than they might expect, because Crash Bandicoot, I think, is going to run right over, help with this Herald, but actually, no. Maybe just sneaking it away. I don't even think the Broncos want to fight for this quite yet. Maybe realizing they're better off just getting a bit more of this farm, cutting down the CS lead a little bit, but Herald is going to suck to give away because they're already up quite a bit in the lead when it comes to towers, so Herald being taken this early is good, and they will, in fact, grab this one up.
Okay with the sack, though, from Boise State. Again, as long as you can get control elsewhere, which is exactly what Ego's trying to do. Is caught, though.
He's got the Galio to help him, though. 7274's here. That might just be good enough to help him live. But Yomahime, you know he's not going to stop going. You know he wants to take the fight. Stun comes through, and look at that damage.
Wow.
Just disintegrate. But the Pop Blossom, they want to try and get a re-engage, but it's just too much. Look at tagged move. Those spears just hitting like ICBMs in the Dragon Pit. 7274, I mean, again, look, he went for he didn't go tank either. Another kind of interesting play is Crash Bandicoot, a couple autos, maybe off taking down Rat, but once again, it's interesting from both of those players, the Cho'Gath and the Galio, both kind of opting for a bit of a hybrid setup. And it kind of, I was shocked when I saw him take that much damage. I just didn't expect it.
Yeah, I can kind of understand the setup more so from the Galio. Also still has some armor against the Vayne, but that magic resist is non-existent as in Italy does massive work in the fight on the bot side. 3 kills ensures that Washington State able to cruise up to the top side, hit the Baron in the game for themselves. Yeah, and this Nidalee, I mean, after the base too, usually we see Nidalees when it's played competitively not go for this build. This is very one-shot reliant between Lich Bane and Shadow Flame. Usually you see Leandries, or we're seeing Ludens in the Echoes of Helia, which is an item that gives you more power on the heals. But no, this game for Tag, all about the damage, and he's showing why. It's been a really nice performance.
I was joking about the Ego Dark Seal, the Ego Medjai's, but that that Dark Seal has 8 stacks already for Tagged, and he's going to be doing so much damage. He kind of already was. Has to base there. That's going to let Find get quite a bit of tempo on this turret. So they're just trying to kind of scramble around and make sure that Cougars can't get too far on any lane. 2 Scions showing on the map is certainly interesting, but mid-turret probably going to fall, and it's going to be hard to find a fight going forward now, just down so much money.
Yeah, on the Broncos, try and turtle. Do the best they can. The Smolder stacks would be nice. Sadly, Smolder a little bit behind the item curve, as Bitna, I'd say mid-Masters AD on the OP.GG. Been 2 very strong games from Bitna. As definitely was expecting that player to perform, given the solo queue rank. We've seen some of that. It's been good looks for Bitna.
And I mean, just once again, look at how great the Cougars are at spreading out just their advantage to every single lane. They've got Baron on every lane, Herald working on bot. They just got they almost got probably about 5,000 or 6,000 just from the Baron alone. That's what you want to see, and maybe Fine might get caught here. Taken down so low. Ego looking for the kill, gets it again. 400 gold's not bad, and that might be the only consolation they get for losing an inhibitor, and they might lose another here. 3 players taking it down. Baron is still available. But this time, at least, it won't be all 3 inhibitors.
I mean, I think if you're Boise State, you got to try and make a play somewhere. And taking a kind of a zoom out here, Zach, we were talking about with Fearless Draft, the play styles that both teams brought for game 1 and questioning if that changes for game 2 is Ego. Oh my. Oh my goodness. That bug just got slapped.
Continue. You can continue.
Yeah, all right. Mosquito down. Wow. Cougars mascot still going to work. We saw another game, though, where the Cougars... the Cougars opted for self-sufficiency in terms of the solo lanes, especially thinking about Vayne. Another game for the Broncos where they really tried to draft and make plays, and we saw better plays connect and more plays connect for the Broncos this time around. So they deserve some credit there. But it still is the Cougars who... These solo laners are pretty big. And, yeah, that Goldie... I know we haven't seen Vayne really join a lot of fights or find a lot of the action, but when Crash Bandicoot decides to join... The Broncos aren't going to like it. This Vayne's starting to get quite big, almost as an IE in inventory with the crit Vayne.
I just see Snar Fury sitting at 170 stacks right now, so still kind of a little bit off of what you'd want, where you can start getting that burn and that execute, and Rat off the CC. Bitna is just destroying with the on-hit build. My goodness. Not something you see a ton from the Varus, but it's so good, so powerful. Ego flashes in just to get enough damage to take down Crash Bandicoot. Enjoyer will die to the pop blast, and a good fake from Rankadon. Runs away, but I don't know if he can get away. Tagged is so fast, running him down, gets the root, but Yomahime's here to support, and there it is. The spear is always just practically magnetic. Find, once again, might be the person who falls on the other side of the map. It seems like they've done a good job of at least trading something. Snar Fury, the one to get the kill. Getting those stacks up, but still, I mean, the death cooldown's kind of a while. They might get this 3rd inhibitor here unless the Broncos make a play right out of base, which they actually could go for here, maybe.
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot, no TP to join. Find down for 32. I think the Broncos should look. It's hard to engage, but the point game where, you know, sending in a Scion ult in a 5v3 that could have been one of the better looks. Not going to be the case, though. They're going to keep on getting Smolder waves. IE is done for Snar Fury. As I will say, I feel like that's an appropriate IGN to be a Smolder. Just because if it was Snarl Fury, I feel like that'd be very thematically fitting. Like, we're one character away from having a very on-theme Smolder name.
I'll get your opinion on, he's thinking of a new name. He's going to change his name to The Boy Who Glid.
The Boy Who Glid is an AD player?
The Boy Who Glid.
That's
a good
kind of
one?
fun. I feel like the support should also start an alternate account that says that wider. I feel like this should be the combo. As our observers behind the scenes. Yeah, pointing out we're 206. The whole state crew that helps out with all these broadcast production. Appreciate everyone behind the scenes. It's very fun joining. It was a privilege to join for CLOL finals. I got to see the campus join in person.
Oh, good.
You guys always do a lot of good work, whether it's, you know, on the broadcast itself. folks like yourself, Zach, or I know I'm biased towards my good friend Deserex behind the scenes there. But appreciate what everyone else brings to the table with Ray and all the students behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, we've got one of the best just broadcast teams ever, man. Everyone's super cool. Just I always love seeing stuff like that. It's like right when I know, I'm like, okay, like how far is he off sacks? Okay, like yep, gotta check it. Thank you. It's like everybody just knows exactly what I want to see. It's perfect. And so Snar Fury now is almost there, and I mean that's gonna be something. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have to win a fight that you probably shouldn't on pay-per-view win in here to try and pull this one back. Maybe you have to get a pick or something, but if you take it front to back, I think they're just going to beat you as they start to group up here and look forward. 5v5 Clone trying to bait out a few cooldowns, doesn't get anything. The waves have to be dealt with still because with the Baron buff, they're so strong. They barely take any damage. The minions alone might be enough to end this game just with the parental support of the Cougars sitting and watching pop.
Here we go.
Awesome comes through, but it only finds one. And instead, it's going to be Rinkadon quickly, almost taken down. Instead, 7274 trying to peel for his team. Ego, though, gets splashed away from Crash Bandicoot. Isn't able to get a kill, and it's nothing for the Broncos. Instead, it's the Cougars all the way, taking down this Nexus and taking both games convincingly about the same time in both of these, and really well played from them.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, again, this bout, it was closer for the Broncos. And
yeah, for sure.
I appreciate how the Broncos, they're committed to taking champs that they feel like they can make some plays with. And going up against the Cougars, again, these guys are 10-0, the team to beat in the conference for a reason. And we saw some of that individual strength, I think, really shining through the Cougars with some really strong individual performances from Bitna. Did a really nice job of acquiring a lot of resources. And man, when Tagged is jungling like that on the Nidalee, I was not expecting that pick to come through. Wasn't expecting that build to come through. But Tagged had a heck of a game as he really made sure that he took advantage of the winning lanes. Tried to make invades, tried to make plays happen, and the Cougars got a lot of resources on their shoulders and were able to find the win.
I really liked some of the stuff that we had saw, though, like you had mentioned, where that like the level 3 bot gank, that's a great idea, and it worked perfectly. They got everything they wanted. Ego was able to push that into a pretty decent lead, but just over time, of course, as the fights start going more the way of Washington State, the gold lead it gets so insurmountable. At some point as Kha'Zix, it's like, for a while there was like, I can jump anyone and kill him, and then it becomes like I kind of can't jump anyone at this point. The lead got too much, and yeah, it seemed like a lot of that was just, I mean, coming out, it was what, like 16 minutes? It seemed like almost every lane was down, like 40 to 50 farm. Just, it was kind of the difference in philosophy again of we're going to pick a great comp that synergizes well together, and we're going to take fights versus just pick me Vayne into Galio. I'm gonna go up 50 CS, and it doesn't really matter. Like that seemed like a bit more of the Washington State philosophy.
Pick me Vayne's another good IGN. You know, I know that one's probably out there multiple times, but yeah, again, Washington State, you come into this as the favorites. They've got some strong players. Definitely felt like they drafted to make sure those strong players could show their skills, and we didn't see that as much with grouping as a team. I will say, like, for the Cougars, I do think that the way they played out that series was a little bit like, we know we're better. We're going to play out the 3 lanes and get resources and go from there. I would like to see them get challenged more and see how they adopt to that, because I feel like they're missing a couple timers where they can group and play 2 lanes instead of 3, or try and set up objectives. Like, if you're a big favorite coming into a series and I only see 2 dragons taken in the first game, I'm kind of on both teams to be like, all right, where are these dragons? Which I know you were even mentioning in the first game, Zach. Yeah,
you're talking to an expert of losing Mountain West League of Legends games, and normally when you're playing against teams that are that like way better than you, obviously like the gap between this Boise State team and this Washington State team is not as much as mine versus theirs, but like a lot of the time you get shut out. Like it's 0 kills to like 20. You're losing in 15. Like the fact that the Broncos were able, there was a time they were equal and they were leading in kills in the second game. Like they were down objectives, and so it was just, it's interesting. They were getting those picks and getting good fights, good jungle ganks, good setup, but it seems like just the overall macro, of course, just it seemed like Washington State ended up having the advantage there, but there were some good looks, and they were getting a lot of kills onto the support. Poor Nautilus was trying to get, he got maybe more action than he was bargained for a while.
Yeah, they were trying. I think there was some good direction for the Broncos, especially in that second game. So, good to see them again. At least put up a little bit more of a fight. Shout out to Ego, who was able to acquire some resources on the Kazakhs. But yeah, we said, like, going into the last fight, Vayne hasn't really joined yet. Vayne's going to be scary when she does. And I watched Vayne 3-shot Kazakh, sadly, in the last fight there for Ego, as Vayne flashed away, was able to live, and cleaned up the Broncos, as the Cougars cleaned up that game too.
Shout out to you, man. It's great having you here. Like, it's always fun to get to cast with new faces. It's interesting because everyone kind of has their own style and personality, and it's a ton of fun. And we don't have a ton of people here who really are super into League of Legends. Like, when it comes to casters, like, just it's one of those games where you either really like it, I feel, or you don't really know anything about it at all. So it was great to get on and hear your expertise and knowledge, and great to watch the Broncos work through some tough times, show some good metal, and excited to see what they can offer for us in the future. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before we close this out?
No, I understand there's one more regular season match left for the Broncos in the Mountain West. Shout out to the Cougars for leading the division. You guys look good today. I stand by what I said with, trying to clean up, find the timers who can play 2 lanes. Because, frankly, if I want to see the Cougars in top 8 for CLOL, there are a lot of good teams in collegiate. Good to see the Broncos really scaling up with that program. And, Zach, pleasure joining you for the day. Thanks for coming out. I know League's not your typical game. I had a lot of fun with you, and best of luck as you continue your second year here at Boise State.
You appreciate that. And thank you, everybody who was watching this game. Got one more, like Cubby said, for the season. And I mean, if you want to root for anyone Mountain West, I know sometimes I like to do that, like in other sports. If a Mountain West team is winning, I'm just on their side, even though maybe they had beaten my team early, maybe they'd beaten the Broncos earlier. But
that's
they're
okay.
looking
If they do well,
pretty formidable.
It makes the losses look better.
Yeah,
if they
true.
keep on winning, makes
we
the
lost
losses look better.
all the good teams in the country. They're all in the Mountain West. So I'm excited to see what they can go forward. Of course, thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.
Play that he wants, but I think it's the play the team needs. They need a little bit of help. As
I think they might have saw him.
No, he's stuck in. He can get around.
Get around, you're right. He wasn't spotted. Yomeime now none the wiser. Gonna fall. Ego, his 3rd kill.
So Kazakhs being set up like this, I know we were harping on smolder damage being really important in this game.
They're going in. Pop Blossom finds it on the... You actually, Crash Bandicoot solo has the flash. Yomeime again falls to Ego. Harold working on bot. They just got... They almost got... Probably about 5,000 or 6,000 just from the Baron alone. That's what you want to see, and maybe Fine might get caught here. Taken down so low. Ego looking for the kill. Gets it again. 4